Hi everyone, it's Alyssa and this is Always Cinema Chic, the place that encourages you to go out, get dressed up, and watch a movie. So today I am reviewing Lady Bird, and that stars Saoirse Ronan and Laurie Metcalf, and it is directed and written by Greta Gerwig. And I'll start by saying that this is one of the best coming of age films that I've ever seen in my life, but I want to add the caveat that coming of age movies are not always my favorite genre. So this is an excellent film within the genre, but there are always going to be movies that I like more than this type of movie. So the film centers around Christine, who has renamed herself to Lady Bird, and that's played by Saoirse Ronan, and she's just trying to navigate herself within Sacramento, California, and trying to figure out who she is. And she's kind of this moderate rebel who thinks she's a lot more, you know, hard-hitting and edgy than she actually is. And she's just trying to work within the confines of this really strict parochial school that she lives in, and also trying to find a balance with her mother, who is just overly protective and totally controlling. But you can see that the mother really loves her daughter, and that's played by Laurie Metcalf beautifully. She's incredible in the film. And you know, so the film really has all of the story arcs that you've come to expect in a coming of age story. You have things like first boyfriends, trying to prove yourself to the wrong crowd, fights with mom, there's the desire to get away from the nest, and yes, even prom. But the film handles all of these milestones with a great sense of realism, and then there's just like this little bit of nostalgia thrown in as well. And what I really loved about the story is that even though the entire story, it centers around Lady Bird, I felt like I really understood the side characters, and they were really well developed. So everyone from her father to her best friend to her first boyfriend, they all had lives that were going on outside the screen, and even if they weren't in that particular scene, I felt like I knew who they were and I knew what they were doing. And that's really a testament to Greta Gerwig's writing. It really is a brilliant screenplay. It's very well thought out, and you know, I would be shocked if she didn't get a nomination for Best Screenwriting. I think she did a wonderful job in just developing all of these characters, even certain characters that you would think would be like stock throwaway characters, like, you know, the new friend that Lady Bird is trying to make, who's rich and obnoxious and self-centered. And yes, that character is all of those things, but there's actually a few moments in the film where you see she's not just everything that she presents to everyone else, and I really like that. There wasn't one stock character who plays like the bad girl or like the dorky best friend. They all had layers to them, and I really appreciated that in her writing. The film also takes on some interesting points in terms of class division in suburban neighborhoods. So in a lot of suburbs, there will be, you know, people who are really like the upper class, upper middle class, and then there are the houses that are middle class, you know, lower middle class, and you know that there is this great divide. So while no one is living in poverty, it still affects the way that certain characters have to present themselves to others, and I thought that was something I wasn't quite expecting in a film like this. Lady Bird is quite literally from the other side of the tracks, and it affects her on a daily life, going to this very rich, exclusive parochial school. And then the other thing that I thought was so interesting is it kind of goes into that quintessential, you don't know what you got till it's gone, the way that teenagers always look at the place where they grew up as just the lamest place in the world. But when you look back on it, you see that your family and your environment, it's actually so much better than you ever thought it was when you're growing up. And when you leave, you kind of can't wait to come back home and feel that comfort again. The film also does a pretty good job in terms of the way that it's shot. There's a lot of, you know, muted neutral colors. It is very nostalgic looking, and you have, you know, just some lovely, beautiful shots in the film. Although I will say that I don't think the movie actually utilized all of the film techniques that they probably could have. So, you know, this movie is much more about story, character, and heart. And for me to think a film is perfect, it really needs to have all of those components plus some inventive film artistry. What shines most about this film is definitely the performances, and I don't have a doubt in my mind that Saoirse Ronan is going to be nominated for Best Actress for the Academy Awards and the Golden Globes. It's the exact kind of character and performance that I feel will certainly get nominated, and she is deserving of it. And I'm pretty sure that Laurie Metcalf is going to be nominated for Best Supporting Actress for playing the mother. I mean, the scenes with the two of them together, they are the funniest and the most genuine in the film. If anything, I kind of wish there was a little more development and a little bit more scenes with her and her mom, although I know that's not realistic to teenage life. You're not really with your mom all the time. So I just think that they are wonderful together. And Ronan has said that Lady Bird is a mixture of Greta Gerwig's life with, you know, a lot of Ronan's input as well. And she creates a character that is just flawed but beautiful at the same time. And she really is trying to navigate herself and figure out who she is. So she's at that point in life where a lot of teenagers will just almost try on different personalities to see which one they are, because they're not really sure which personality they are. And you see her navigate her life through the theater group and then the rich kid group, and she's trying to figure out exactly who she is. And I think a lot of people, although not myself, are going to find, you know, the relationship between the mother and the daughter so relatable. They have such difficulty trying to communicate, but you know that they love each other, and that with the mother, everything she's doing is because she loves her daughter, but she certainly comes across as smothering and overbearing and, you know, constantly barging in on her. And, you know, I think a lot of people are going to relate to that relationship. And I love that Ronan never takes that character and just makes her an angsty teenager. There are a lot of layers to her, and she really reflects on who she is, and that is very realistic to teenagers. Believe me, I'm with them all day long. They do stop and they think about how they behaved, and they'll reflect, and they know they want to change sometimes, and they're not so sure how. And I found that, you know, a lot of the aspects of her character are incredibly realistic. So, you know, the performances, they are phenomenal. Now, I'll be honest, I am not the biggest fan of Greta Gerwig. I've never really liked her very much in films. Even if I like the film, I'm not always crazy about her. She sort of comes off as such a hipster, and like she's trying to be overly cool and trying to always fit in with the cool kids. And I thought Frances Ha was one of the most overrated movies. I found it just painful to watch. But really, with Gerwig behind the camera, she's proven that she certainly understands how to capture a foundational moment in life. I'm now at a point that I'm really excited to see what Greta Gerwig is going to do in the future. I feel like she has definitely found where she belongs, being behind the camera. She knows what she's doing as a director. She certainly understands tone. She really understands character development, and I think she's an even better writer. That's really where her niche is. She is a phenomenal writer. So I really am happy to see where she's gonna go in the future, and I can say that now I actually like Greta Gerwig. So I just want to add that I know this movie won Best Picture for the New York Film Critics Circle Awards, and I don't think that this is the best picture of the year at all. I could think of like 6 films that were definitely better than this film in terms of story, character development, meaning, and I haven't even seen all of the heavy hitters yet. So, you know, I cannot wait to see The Shape of Water. I can't wait to see 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. That I'm going to see next week and do a review. And I still haven't seen Mudbound. So there are still, you know, a few films coming out that I have even higher hopes for. I'm not saying that Lady Bird is bad and it doesn't deserve this attention. I just don't necessarily think that this is the best. But if I look back to last year and everyone was ranting and raving about The Edge of 17, well, this movie definitely runs circles around that movie. It is, you know, without a doubt the better of the coming of age stories, but I'm never going to say that a coming of age story is the best film of the year, but you know, this is the best you can get within that storyline. And now for the grades. So first, film and artistry. If I'm looking at Lady Bird as just a straight up drama with comedic elements, then I would have to give it an A-. The performances are outstanding. The writing is stellar, although I do feel like it lacked some of the filmic elements that I'm looking for. There was not as much artistry. The music didn't really tie everything together for me, which is another thing that I look for. So it was really great for what it was, but like I said, I'm never going to look at a coming of age story as, you know, the greatest. Now, if I'm just grading this as a coming of age story, I would definitely give it an A. It's one of the best examples you'll ever find. But I don't know if I would put it in such a small category as that. So in terms of watchability, I would give Lady Bird an A-. I really enjoyed it, but it's not the kind of movie that I think I'll go back and watch again and again. Everyone else, I feel like, has a real sense of connection to this movie, which is why they are going nuts over it. But I found that my adolescent years, I didn't really connect to this character so much. My family and my friends, they've always joked around and made fun of me because they thought that I acted like this adult from the time I was basically a kid, and that in my teenage years I didn't really act anything like a teenager. My mom still talks about how I never really acted like a teenager, so it was hard for me to relate to what she was going through and this kind of like moving through friend groups. I just didn't experience that, but that's because I'm just straight up weird. I also didn't connect to the relationship with her and her mother. The relationship that I had and have with my mom isn't anything like that. You know, in the movie, the character is really controlling. My mom's not controlling at all. She was always really proud of me growing up. So I didn't have that same sense of connection that I think some people are having when they're watching this movie, almost, you know, seeing that, wow, this is my life and this is what I went through. Well, I didn't have that experience watching this film, but I did really like it. So with that said, please leave a comment below if you saw Lady Bird. Tell me what you think. Does it deserve Best Picture for the New York Film Critics Circle? Let me know what you think. If you like this video, leave a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. And remember, it is always in fashion to go out, get dressed up, and make it a cinema chic night. Bye, everyone.